Alright, so this weekend is Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. The rematch for the BMF belt is this Saturday, and I'm gonna break down the fight, what I think is gonna happen, who I think is gonna win, and yeah. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe, really helps out, and let's get into it. So, BMF belt, Holloway versus Oliveira 2, the rematch. Obviously, the first time they fought was, I think it was 2016, I want to say. It was 2015, 2016, something like that. I can't remember the exact year, but it's happening for the BMF belt, which I'm not a fan of. What's the point? Like, this is a whole separate thing I can get into, but the BMF belt, not a big fan, especially. It's like, if Holloway's the BMF belt, shouldn't Topuria, or the BMF champion, shouldn't Topuria be the BMF champion? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, yeah, he has the belt, but like Topuria beat him, so shouldn't Topuria be the BMF champion? It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's not the point in the video. The point in the video is the fight. So obviously, as I said, first fight happened 2016. It was kind of a nothing fight. It lasted like 90 seconds, where Holloway was just kind of outstriking Oliveira on the feet for the most part. Doing some like spinning back kicks, like fancy stuff. And then Oliveira like dislocated his shoulder going for a takedown. Like he shot for a takedown, Holloway just instantly reversed it and got on top. And then Holloway got up. Oliveira stood up kind of hesitantly, and then as Holloway came in, Oliveira was just like, "Nah, I'm good, I'm good." And that was that. There was really nothing in that fight. And obviously that was at featherweight. This is a lightweight, and which is going to think play like a bigger factor, especially I believe on Holloway's side, because I'm going to pick Holloway to win. I feel like Holloway's going to win. He is the younger fighter, not by too much, but he is the younger fighter. Younger, he's more in it. I think Holloway's what, 32? Am I being stupid here? He's like 32, I think. Yeah, Oliveira's like 36. Oliveira is kind of on the sunset part of his career. His career's kind of slowly coming to an end. I think this is probably one of the last high profile fights he'll be in terms of like a belt. Anyway, this is probably going to be the last one, because he lost to, who was it? Obviously, he lost to Makachev. That's who he lost the belt. Then he lost to, uh, who was it? He lost to what? Arman. He lost to Arman. I couldn't remember who he lost to. He lost to Arman. Then he lost to Topuria when he fought for the belt last year. So if he doesn't win this, I don't really see him being in any more title fights. He's old, and Holloway is kind of had this, or I should say, he's only had two fights at lightweight. Obviously, knocked out Gaethje, then he went and got knocked out by Topuria at featherweight, came back up, and he was permanently at lightweight. Beat Poirier in the trilogy fight last summer, and now he's fighting Oliveira. And I feel like Holloway has kind of the power. The power is probably the biggest thing, because Holloway and Oliveira are kind of similar fighters in what they have now, and what I mean by that is that their chins is a bit different. However, they both have power. It's really like they've both been knocked out. Their chins have kind of been tested, and therefore exposed. Uh, but they both have power. Holloway's kind of gained this power since coming up to lightweight. Obviously, he knocked out Gaethje. The fight before, like even at featherweight, he knocked out the Korean Zombie, and even he was dropping Poirier. But the thing is, Poirier dropped him. So Max Holloway's chin after the Topuria fight is a bit suspect. We don't know how it's going to perform now, because he's had that plot armor broken. The plot armor has been removed. Holloway can be knocked out, and Oliveira has got power. We've seen him, knock out Gate, or not. He didn't knock out Gaethje, but he dropped Gaethje a bunch. Uh, we've seen him. He didn't. Did he drop Poirier? I think he might have dropped Poirier, but I'm not too sure. I don't think he did. But he dropped Gaethje. He dropped. He's dropped. I can't exactly think of an example, but he has got power. He has got power. So it's just going to be a standard like grappler versus kickboxer kind of fight. And I do think that Max Holloway will try his best to stay away. Obviously, he's going to try his best to stay away, but I think he's going to be able to like stuff takedowns. However, I don't see, obviously, it's not Oliveira's style to really go for takedowns. Oliveira really only goes for takedown when he's got his opponent wobbled or he's dropped his opponent and then he goes for a takedown. Or maybe he jumps in her back like he did against Poirier. Obviously, he did he was like in a wrestling match against when he fought Gamrot last year as well. And he was in a wrestling match and then he just submitted him. And but this Gamrot isn't like that big of a name anymore. Like he's not that. His wins aren't really that good. Let's be honest. So Gamrot's not the best win for Oliveira. Uh, Guy who Gamrot almost lost to what was it, RDA, like a couple years ago. He almost got knocked out by RDA. So I'm not like his recent wins aren't the best. So I'll say that. But Holloway, or what I was going to say, Oliveira, he's just going to stand with Holloway. Obviously, he does that anyway, but it's the BMF belt. I think he's going to try and stand even more because it's the BMF belt. He's going to try and stand with Holloway. And I don't think Holloway's going to knock him out. He might drop him, but I don't think he's going to knock him out. Because I feel like if he was to drop him, I don't know if Holloway would want to kind of follow up to the ground with Oliveira, because Oliveira obviously is dangerous jiu-jitsu. I think that Holloway is just going to maybe drop him a couple times. He might get dropped. Oliveira might drop Holloway. Like, that's something to expect because, as I said, Holloway's chin has now been tested. It's now been unlocked. The KO potential has now been unlocked. He got dropped against Poirier, like I said. And Oliveira is probably on the same level of power as Poirier. So there's that. And plus, Holloway's going to be like thinking about takedowns anyway. He's going to be having the threat of the takedown. Holloway got dropped by Poirier. Poirier's not going to go for a takedown. Like in the middle of it. Maybe if he's rocked, he might, but in open combat, he won't. Oliveira might. There's always that chance. So Holloway's going to be thinking about that. Maybe he gets cracked when maybe Oliveira fakes the takedown and cracks Holloway. Who knows? So he could knock him out. Holloway could knock out Oliveira. Obviously, as the Gaethje fight is shown, but that was kind of more of attrition. Maybe he knocks him out at the end of the fight. Holloway's never really like a one punch knockout first round fighter. He's never been that guy. Even against the Korean Zombie, he was it was kind of like attrition. I think it was in the third round or fourth round after like a couple knockdowns, I believe, or like a lot of damage anyway. I can't exactly remember how many knockdowns there were, but I think if Holloway's going to get a knockout, it's going to be towards the end of the fight. Oliveira, I could see Oliveira dropping Holloway and submitting him. That could happen, but I'm kind of more leaning towards the former, that Holloway will get it. Will get a knockout towards the end of the fight. However, I'm not going to choose that. I believe it's going to go to decision. I think that's kind of more what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be like I'm thinking maybe Holloway will drop Oliveira and then might go to the ground, but I'm not sure. I can just get kind of seeing it being a back and forth kind of fight. Maybe a lot of clinching from Oliveira, like he does up against the cage. That could happen. I don't think I'll see a finish, but it's probably like I'm leaning like 70-30% in favour of a decision. If not, I think that Holloway will knock him out. But yeah, that's kind of what I think is going to happen in the fight. But if you liked the video, if you disagreed, comment below. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.